service recruiting? Because I need people in my service department as
Sure.
well.
So service is a little bit different in the regard that it's a higher skilled position, right? And so the difference in sales is not that it's a skilled position, but you don't have to have a toolbox full of tools. You don't have to have a ASE certification, and you don't have to have years and years of school. It helps, right, to be certified in certain areas in sales training, things of that nature, but the door's pretty wide for sales. Where in service, there's a really kind of specific certifications you need, manufacturers that you need to know how to work on, certain engines or transmissions that you're certified for. So those candidates are, well, there are not as many of them. So with that, it takes a little bit longer. We have somebody that's dedicated to reaching those candidates. They were in the service world as well, and they've worked service lanes, they've worked the service department, they've engaged with that world, and we feel like that's what we need, is somebody that knows the world to be able to help you with that. But more importantly, they have the understanding of what that technician needs to look like, or what that service writer needs to look like, and they have an understanding also of what requirements it takes to be a good technician or a good service writer. So where it differs is the process stays the same as far as our screening and that nature, but the length of the process is a little bit longer because the candidate pool is a little bit less. We do a lot of it, and as service departments have gotten busier, or sales departments have gotten busier, service in turn has gotten a lot busier. And so we see a huge need for that entry-level tech. The service writers, the people that are salespeople for the sales department, so to speak, the entry-level guys that can change oil and fix brakes and tires and do PDIs and things of that nature. We've seen a lot of that increase, and we can do that really, really quickly. When you get into the A and B and C, even master level techs, obviously, that just takes a little bit longer, but we can get it done without any problem.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about how you select the candidates for the dealer.
Yeah.
What's your process?
So we'll take it from inception. The first thing we want to do is create an advertisement that is attractive to the candidate, right? The way I analogize it is, it's like the window dressing of a boutique. The reason you're going to stop at that store is because something's caught your eye, something's attracted to you. Or attracted that store to you. And so it may be the new shirt or the new dress, and you're going to walk in. And that's kind of your job posting. You're going to walk in and you're going to look around, and you're going to look at that job description and the responsibilities, and you're going to kind of see if that fits you, just as if you would a dress or a shirt. And as you say, okay, yeah, I like this more and more, you're going to get farther and farther into the process. And so you may even click the apply button. And so you'll click the apply button, and then we'll go through that process. So that's what we call passive recruiting. Then there's active, or and I call it aggressive, where we have a database of candidates that we're the only company that has access to all the major job boards. We post on all the major job boards. Some of our competition have been kicked off the job boards. They're never even allowed back. So there's that amount of candidates that they'll never touch. But we'll access those resumes. We'll put in keyword searches. And those keyword searches are just like if you were to Google Batman costumes. And if I Google that, a whole list of costumes are going to come up. But if I say adult male Batman costumes, that's going to narrow down. Then I put adult Batman costumes Raleigh, and it gets narrower and narrower. So what we're looking for are that very specific job skill sets that we can look for in a database, and then extract those resumes. Once we extract them, we literally pick up, through our efforts in our phone room, we'll pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, I want to tell you about ABC Motors and the opportunity that may exist there. Those tend to be the better candidates because, one, they're actively looking, and two, if they listen and set the appointment, there's a reason they're showing up. Anybody can click the apply button, and anybody can apply for the position. And we see that candidate is less and less and less of the priority of what we're looking for. We have seen our efforts come from real recruiting. And that's why we said from the very beginning, we are entrenched in the recruiting business. We're not tip of the iceberg recruiting where we come in and we recruit/train. It's too much work to find the right candidate to try to mix and mingle it with training. And so our process is much more stringent because we have more time to spend on it. And so let's say you apply, and then afterwards, the process is, once we've created your job board, or we went into the resume and created what we're looking for you, we'll then follow that process all the way down. You'll apply. After you apply, we'll pick up the phone. We'll call and talk to you for a little bit. We'll ask you some basic questions. Can you pass a background? Can you pass a drug test? Tell me why we should select you. We literally screen them down. We sift them as if we were sifting gold. So once we got that down a little bit farther, we'll then set an appointment. One of our on-site recruiters will come in and meet with the candidate at your dealership or at the dealership and interview them face to face. So now they've went through 3 or 4 different layers of screening. So once they've gotten through that process and we feel like you're a fit for the business, all our account managers have been in the car business before. So they understand what it takes to sell cars. They've sold cars before. They've worked the hours. They've blown a deal. They've gotten deals. They know the car business. And not that we all know exactly who's going to work. That's certainly not the case. But we have a fairly good understanding of who will and who can do the job asked. And so once they make it through the on-site recruiter, they'll then be passed off to the hiring manager, which in most cases is sales manager, general sales manager, and even in some cases general manager, or all 3. And then you guys, being the dealerships, make the decisions. We never make a hiring decision. We never, ever force you or put somebody in your dealership. And our word is, if we wouldn't put them in our dealership or in our business, we're not going to put them in yours. And so if they don't fit for us or what we would hire, then we're not going to put them in front of you. So we're pretty particular because they're like kids. If they do well, they're ours. If they do bad, they're ours too. So our candidates that get hired are a reflection of us and our business. We have a really high standard. And with that being said, we don't want just anybody in your dealership. So they've got to make it through 3 or 4 or 5 phases just to get in front of you. And then at the end, you make that decision. And if they're not a fit, then we take care of that and we'll get you the ones that are. So all that to say this, it's pretty lengthy, and that's why we don't do it in 2 days. We have to have a plan, and it's a weekly diet of going through, finding the right candidates, building appointments, showing up, screening them, and some days we only may have 1 or 2, but we're going to give you the best, not just the rest.
So